Yes, we're all going to have hard times. Grief was the hardest time for me, Michael, even though I knew Carol was going to die. But still, oh my gosh, a loss of not having her here after 40 years. I had a meltdown yesterday, and it's still emotional for me now that she is in heaven. I am an independent single woman. I'm not just a widow. I'm an independent single woman wanting to give what I can give to make our world better. And it's not based upon a relationship now in my life. At the time with Carol, we were a couple as solid as you could be. It was all about our profound love. And that's how we lived our life, profoundly and joyfully. Renee and her staff were just phenomenal. Of course, Carol's in her powered chair, and they don't quite have the best handicap accessibility. They have an elevator, but it was very awkward. And so when I went in and talked with them, they were more than willing to come out to the car with the paperwork that needed to be signed by Carol for the documentation for our wedding, for our marriage license. So they were just so good about it, you know? It's nice when you run into people that don't give you a snag about something. They just want to help you. They want to be there for you. Sounds like that happens in your life too, huh?
Well, it has happened, but not as much in the last few years, frankly, but that's okay, you know, because it does come and go. That feeling of having the magic inside me, I have had often.
Awesome.
It was wonderful. That feeling of rouge à dés, like I ain't never been here before, has also occurred, and more frequently in the last few years, and that's okay too.
Well, and I told you,
those are learning.
Took me into your studio office the other day. You know, I mean, I know my eyes just bugged out of my head, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I didn't say it right away, but it's like, I've been here before, Michael. I've been in this office.
You said that.
Oh my God, oopsie.
And when you said it, it blew me away that when that you said it, I noticed the idea in your mind when it occurred. And it worried me because I was wondering what's going on, because you were clearly looking like there was something interesting going on in your head that I didn't understand at the moment.
Right.
And so it was pretty weird and amusing later on when you said that, and I realized, oh, well, that's got to be what I saw.
Yep.
Just to kind of set us in place and in motion here, I am traveling with Joanie Lindenmeyer, who was a childhood family friend.
Yes.
Yeah, at St. John's in San Diego 65 years ago.
Oh my God.
60 years ago now.
See, I'm 67, so I was probably about 8, 9, or 10 when I rode on the handlebars of your bicycle.
You
taught me guitar at age, I think it was about 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade.
And Joanie Lindenmeyer is the voice of joy. And this is how I know her.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Grown up in the same church, learned a whole lot of lessons, each of us in different ways. And this young lady has the message of joy that just brings us all forward. And that's what makes her, her.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to a book signing today because you have your 3rd book just came out in October, right? Is that the first? So talk to me about those.
Okay. Well, the 3rd book is Healing Religious Hurts, Stories and Tips to Find Love and Peace. And it came about because in the book tour of NUN BETTER, which is the story of my life with my sweetie pie, Carol, that came out March 19th of 2023, after doing a book tour for a year, there were many, many issues that people brought to the forefront in talking with me as I was signing books. And one of them was religion and spirituality. And they would say, oh, I knew this sister, I knew this priest, or I belong to this church, or this really bothered me about this church. And why couldn't I go to communion after a divorce? And how come I couldn't be an altar server and I was female? And oh, I went through this terrible annulment with the church, and I just don't like my church anymore. And they, just like you've experienced, Joanie, they won't marry gay people, they won't marry same-sex people. And so all these issues came out. I started to write these things down, and it was a combination of religious hurts and LGBTQ joys and sorrows as well. And so I said, okay, well, Joanie, take that to your prayer corner. So I went to my prayer corner in my living room, which I always do. That's a big thing for me, discernment and prayer. And Jesus, Carol, should I write these next 2 books? And the answer was yes, absolutely. Forming a team, that's sort of my specialty. I love sports, Michael, and I've always been a PE teacher, a sports coach. And so to develop a team of people that could share their stories and figure out with our outline where their story would be best put in this book. And so what we thought was going to be a 100-page book turned into a 300-page book. Can you believe that? Just amazing. And all of our hearts just spilled out raw vulnerability, gutsy life experiences that can inspire and encourage, and mostly my 3 C's. It's confidence, courage, and collaboration. We all have become more confident. We all have been courageous in our life and our decisions and coming out. And then, of course, to talk about it, to collaborate, to share. That's what it's all about. So, just last week, can you believe this? Last week, Q Spirit Christian Books globally presented both books, LGBTQ and Healing Religious Hurts, in the top 24 in 2024. Think about that. Globally, Christian books. My 2 books. It just blows me away. And it just adds to what happened to None Better. None Better, 4 months after it was published, it became an Amazon ebook bestseller at number 24 for 4 months in a row. And then it got the 2023 LGBTQ Christian Book Award as well. So it's like, I just feel like I'm on this mission or this ministry to touch hearts, share thoughts, share ideas, share pains, and share the joys, because we can all get through stuff in life, I guess is really what it is, to get through stuff when we hang on to each other and hang on to Jesus, because Jesus is alive and well and kicking. And that's what it's all about, Elfie.
The success of the second and third books were not surprised because they followed the success of None Better.
I never looked at it that way, but yes, it wouldn't have happened without the None Better, that's for sure. Exactly. And will it become an Amazon ebook or Amazon bestseller? I don't know. But you know, books last forever. I think it was a miracle that None Better happened so quickly. But you know, books last forever, and good books really last forever. And so maybe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, when I'm dead and gone, Michael, my family, the legacy that they will have of Aunt Joanie and of Aunt Carol, will be able to shine in those grand nephews and nieces and their relationships, and it'll just keep on spreading to people all over the world. There's no limit to it. So I want to tell you a story here about Martha. Oh, nice. Martha.
84 years old, and she gave me this pin with all these rainbow colors, and she came up to me and she said, this is after the presentation, and she said, Joanie, can I tell you something? I said, yes. And she looks down and she looks up, and then she looks me square in the eyes. I'm lesbian too, just like you. I've never told that to anybody. And she does a little shuffle, She does a little, and then with everybody in the room, I'm lesbian too, like Joanie. And she just starts being in the happy, joyful mode. It was unbelievable. About 20 minutes later, she disappears and comes back, and she comes back with this pin. And she goes, I make these pins, but I've never really given them out to anybody. Can I give you a pin? And so she gave me this pin. An 84-year-old person that finally has found her truth in coming out. Then I have another story of Christy, who gave me this pin here and said, Joanie, you know there's more to just lesbian and gay, lesbian and gay. And she goes, remember to talk about everybody. Talk about everybody. And so whether a person is trans or bi or penny or demi or what pansexual or wherever they are on their sexual identity or their sexual orientation, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm teaching people about that. So we all have an identity, whether you think you're a man or a woman or a bisexual or a trans, you know, whatever your identity is. And then the next one is orientation. Who are you romantically or intimately liking? It's like a teenager. Who do you like? Who are you falling in love with? Who triggers that within you? You know, what kind of relationships do you want to have? So those two issues are just huge with people, because many people, they change their identity or they're still figuring out their orientation as life is going on. So whether you are 14, 15, 16 or you are 84, 94 or whatever, you're still, some people are trying to figure out how that has changed in their life or who they really are. And so that's what has happened with this book here, Joyously Free. And so I'd like to read an excerpt in here, if you don't mind. Am I talking too much?
No.
Okay.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, well, you let me know. You let me know if I'm not. Okay, so this book here, I'm going to read an excerpt, but I want to tell you, I'll show you some pictures first. So these are the contributors in this book. And they range from Will, 17-year-old trans, up to Kathy and Doris, and Kathy is 95. Okay, they were both married to husbands, have kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and then they found each other about 30 years ago. And so their story is in here. But everybody's raw story, from an ally to a gay to a lesbian to just all walks of life. With husband, without husband, married, it doesn't matter, okay? But they're all precious, precious stories of how they find their truth, how they live their truth. Even my pastor, Bernie Lindley, is in here. My sister, Gail, is in here. My nephew, Will, is in here. And then other people I've met along the journey. So I'm going to read a little thing in here about me. And this is chapter 2. At the very beginning, when we were creating this book, we didn't have the title. You probably know about that, trying to create your own title or your chapter titles. So at first, what came to me was this, a small SH with the words, or the letters O-U-T, nice and large. I thought it would be called Shout, Loud and Proud. That's what I thought the book title might be. But as we talked, we said, you know what? Some people aren't shouting it. Mm-hmm. They're not, because they don't need to shout it. And they don't need to hush it, shh, and then say, that's just not where people are, okay? I'm one of the people right now that I am literally out there, because I seem to be an activist for LGBTQ and an activist for religion and spirituality is where I'm coming from. But this is chapter 2 in this book here. Chapter 2. This is called Coming Out, Shout Loud and Proud. And my particular story in this one, and you don't have to read it from start to finish. It's not like a storybook where you want to read it from the beginning and get to the end. This you can pick up anywhere and everywhere, because it will inspire, it will give confidence, it will give courage as you learn. Go for it. My Coming Out Story by Joanie. I knew I was different in first grade. I wore shorts under my blue-green plaid uniform skirt at St. John the Evangelist School, which is actually where I met Michael here. I was enamored with my teachers, the beautiful, mysterious, happy, kind Catholic nuns and sisters, as we called them. In elementary school, my friendship attractions were all female. Yet I couldn't put words to it at that young, naive age. I was a bony kid, hence my nickname, Bones. My siblings still call me that endearing name, and it makes us all giggle. Greggy was my best brother-like friend in class, in play, and as a neighbor 5 houses up the street. Back then in the 1960s and 1970s, the culture was heterosexual dominant, and I was never around gay people, or so I thought. During puberty, I heard 2 labels way too often, hetero and homo. Even then, I despised those words. It was the tonnage, the attitude, the stigma of hate, the division they created, and a box that I and others felt pushed into. At the time, something bigger was changing in my mind and heart. I was learning and having feelings about prejudice on a personal level regarding my sexual orientation and sexual identity. Later, words formed around those feelings, straight and gay. Either way, I was coming out to myself, knowing I was different and beautiful and riding a roller coaster of teen hormonal emotions. Little did I know that at this young age, I was growing in strength and character and would have another name, a label, a stereotype attached to me in the future, a lesbian. In my gut, it felt terrible, hurtful, and wrong when I heard people say it by stressing the les in lesbian, placing hard negative emphasis on the first syllable. People did the same with homosexual, stressing the homo. Yet at the same time, this is my first time coming out to myself. This wonderful person here, Alex, and her mother is Marquet. Marquet writes it because Marquet is coming from a parent viewpoint of having a trans child. Then I have Scott and Joyce down here, and they talk about having a gay son. And then we have my nephew Will over here talking about being an ally, having Aunt Joanie as an ally. And then we have Sally. Where's Sally? Sally, high school counselor, and she talks about a very simple thing that she had in her office. She had a little sign, "All are welcome," and it had a rainbow on it. And she talked about how when kids would come into her counseling office, the people that were LGBTQ would see that and feel very comfortable. She had other counselors in the department that didn't have any welcoming sign, and how they did not receive as much what she calls attention or care or understanding in the counseling. About ally and advocate, what's the difference? One is personal, one might be, are you an advocate in the sense of the media? Are you the advocate within your church? Are you the advocate within your community? Versus an ally that really truly stands up for you. And that leads me to the next book. This book here. Okay, so we got the LGBTQ issues. Now let's deal with the religion and spirituality issues. And are they connected? To me they are. To me they are. I thought, oh yuck. In my heart, I wanted to hold hands with Susan and Terry and Kathy. They're all girls. I kept that secret to myself, hugging and kissing my large stuffed tiger Henry night after night, thanking Jesus in my silent prayers for making me me. I knew deep down that I was okay, that I was wonderfully made, and that Jesus would always take care of me. So that's the beginning of my coming out. Have you ever been somewhere in life where you couldn't put words on the emotions and the feelings that you've had happen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is how this book relates to people. You may not have to be lesbian to like this book, but you'll connect. I believe that our God is so loving and kind that our God calls each of us to a ministry for God's will. And it may sound crazy to you, but I believe that. You know, I don't think God just says, hey, only this kind of person can become a priest. Only this kind of person can become a nun. Only this kind of person can be a business owner. I think God takes care of all that with no doubt. Find your spiritual path. Sexism in religion. My title was, let's make it an equal playing field. Escaping oppression. In many churches, escaping oppression. Erase brainwashing, shame, and guilt. Religious leaders and the business of religion. I call it, follow the money, honey. Chapter 5, marriage and death, eternally yours. I call it, widows and orphans and quails. Okay, that's an interesting one. Then we have hypocrisy, and I call it, please, practice what you preach. How about forgiveness? How about prayer? Go within to find your answers. Let it be. Sounds like our conversation today, Michael. So what churches celebrate LGBTQ? What churches do not celebrate LGBTQ? And we name it. We call it what it is. I name that chapter, when you least expect it, rainbows appear. How about the chapter of trusting in God's timing? Serendipitous, inexplicable, and miraculous moments. And then the last one, tips, tools, and rituals for healing religious hurts. I call it, oh my God, I've been healed. And then we have the stories of 17 people and their contributors. One is Father James Martin, if you follow the Catholic Church. He's the #1 LGBTQ priest ministry-wise with Pope Francis. And he lives in New York City. And he's a friend of mine as well. And so he wrote an excerpt on the back of the cover, and he's got an article in here. He runs America Media, which is a huge Catholic press communications. So there's a newsletter and there's podcasts and all kinds of things. So, oh, speaking of Pope Francis, I have to tell you that story. Oh, okay, I'll come back to healing religious hurts. Let me go to this one. I was so excited with this book. I've sent it to almost everybody that you can think in the big world, like President Biden. I sent it to President Biden. He wrote me back a personal letter. That was really cool. I sent it to Pope Francis. And I have no idea if he read it or not. I don't know if he reads English. But when I went to send it to him, I went to my local postal place, not the post office. And they said, Joanie, you can't do that here. You've got to go over to the main post office and fill out the export-import paperwork to go for sending a book. So I go over to my main post office in Brookings, Oregon, and I'm at the counter there, and I said, I'd like to mail this. And I got it all packaged up and everything to Pope Francis. I said, what paperwork do I need to complete? They give me a stack. It's like this big. And she says, step over to the side here, press hard, and fill out every single thing. And I'm looking at it, and it's such small lines and spaces to put information in, if you've ever done that before. And so I stepped over to the side, and I look at it, and I go, oh boy, last name of recipient. I'm like, I don't have my phone on me. I'm going, what is the Pope's last name? And she told me it's got to be detailed, it's got to be accurate. I turn around to everybody in the room there, in line to go up to the counter. Does anybody know the Pope's last name? Heads are shaking. They're looking at me like, what is she doing? You know, and really nobody knows. I'm thinking, well, maybe somebody would get on their phone or something and help me out. I go, okay, no one's responding. I go back and I put Pope. And then it says first name. But that's not, I don't know if he goes by, I don't know if that's his legal, I don't know. And so I said, do you think Francis is the first name? And so they're like nodding their heads. So I come back and I put down Francis. So anyways, it was about a 15-minute episode of me communicating or trying to communicate with people in there to get the answers to fill it all in. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. And so anyways, my vision was, when I sent this in March 21st, book was produced March 19th. March 21st, I'm at the post office sending it to him. So December comes around. This is December 19th, 2023. All of a sudden, my phone, my computer, emails, I am being flooded. Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what Pope Francis did? And I'm like, no, what did he do? He just allowed Catholic priests to bless a gay person. And the question was, is he blessing the union of a same-sex couple, or was it an individual that he was giving permission for the priest to bless? And so it's still under debate. Would you believe that? But my phone was flooded. So what I imagined was that I think this book had something to do with it. I really do. I think that somehow this book got circulated around to this cardinal's office and this cardinal's desk and into this priest's hand. I think that even if you don't read English, but maybe they don't, I think they'll get the picture that love always wins.
God the Creator doesn't need the book. And some of my friends who know, sometimes I say weird things, or at least perceive. I believe that we all have a internal communication with the divine.
Absolutely.
And it's happened with you being here. It's happened with friends of mine. Things, I don't believe there are any accidents.
And I think that's why Jesus has asked me to do this. I shouldn't even say ask. He has told me to write these books. Yeah. And he has been in the words that I write and in my heart, because maybe that's the modern way of getting it across to people. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't even try to figure that one out. All I know is that I just keep saying yes to Jesus. You know, and it sounds like all of us do. It sounds like all, and I love what you had to say. So this is Crissy Field, the visitor center, right on the border of California and Oregon on the Pacific Ocean. And so years ago, they were figuring out where to put this place, and Carol was on the planning committee to help figure out where it should go. Yahoo, Carol! And so meanwhile, this is one of my favorite stomping grounds, and it's just wonderful because the beach is hardly ever crowded. And of course, they've got trails in and around the lagoon and the preserves. And you have trees, and you have bunny rabbits, and you have birds, and they've been cutting everything back to trim it all up and using that as a barricade, which is really, really nice. And then this is also the place where we would go for wonderful walks. And then when she was about ready to die, she said, "Dump me in the ocean, Joanie." So this is where I took her 3 years ago to the ocean. And it was a sweltering 80-degree day that day. Tim Guzik, my good friend Tim, who named the book None Better, he and I came out here. He had a little poem that he read, and I had her ashes, and woohoo! Circle the world, Carol! So I love the driftwood. I love the sand. Hi there! How we doing? Good, good. Beautiful day out, huh? Is this a gorgeous day or what?
Absolutely beautiful.
Yep, yep, yep. Oh, absolutely. The way the water and the sun just glisten together. Ah. So going north is the town of Brookings at the very farthest point up there. So the smokestack way up there would be from the mill in Brookings. You can see that far way up there. And it's just beautiful. Going to the left here, that would be going south, which would be to Crescent City, California. So sometimes I come out here and I do my power walk, which is my exercise, and I walk in that soft sand all the way down to the California border and back. It takes me about an hour, but I love every minute of it. Just power walk right through that sand. Love to exercise that heart and the mind and the spirit. Do you ever just stop and listen? Just listen to the waves. Wow. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Whew, I love looking at all these rocks. I had the ashes, and it was 80 degrees out, and lo and behold, I walk out into the water with my boots on, and all of a sudden a big wave comes. I am soaked to smithereens. The water's in the top of my boots. You're gonna get run over here, Mike. Watch out for water. You don't mind getting wet? It's cold water. Anyway, so my boots filled with water. And so I'm out probably, I don't know, 15, 20 feet. And lo and behold, it's like, I got to get back to shore. And I'm all loaded up with the water in my boots. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. So Carol had a good laugh with that one when we let her go. Circle the world, circle the world. Every beach in the world has her on it. And that's so cool. And yes, it's emotional, but it's all good because that's what life is all about, you know? You live a beautiful life, and then you die, and then you live another beautiful life in heaven with so much joy and so much love. And I know she loves me more now than ever, and that's just beautiful. And now I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I come out here every day. I think of her, but I also think of our world. Where's our world going? We've got to take care of each other so much because there's so much hate and discrimination, and from churches to political to all kinds of stuff. And it's like, I don't want to go there. I just want to let people know we can love each other and take care of each other and be with each other. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I wrote the books about. None Better, Joyously Free, Healing Religious Hurts. Hi, how are you? So that's the scoop. That's the scoop.
That's what it's all about, Alfie?
Oh, that's what it's all about, Alfie. Yep. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just love that sunshine. I just love it. That fresh air. Oh, 62 degrees out here today. End of February or middle of February, 2025. The audiobook of None Better was just completed less than a week ago with my voice. Oh. Well, I didn't find a little one, but I found a big one. But I would just go out here, and as I was thinking of what to write about in the book or books, I'd collect these rocks and I'd get an idea, and I would just say, okay, stay in my brain, stay in my heart, so when I get back to the car, I can write down a note, get back to the house, put it on my computer, and I would think, oh, that would be a great thing to talk about in such and such a chapter. And it was so fun to collect all these rocks. Oh, here we go. Here we go, right here. That would be an angel rock, a small little piece of rock on the soil, on the beach, and I would collect hundreds of these, absolutely hundreds of these. Oh, it's so peaceful out here. Here's another one. Ooh, that's a cool one. Ooh, look at that one. Ooh, look at that one. Look at these. Aren't those pretty? So I would give little bags of these angel rocks to friends and family. And at the events, I'd always have them in the silver gray box with stars on it. You know, and they just remind me so much of diversity. All the different colors, shapes, the texture of them. They just remind me of diversity. Just think, all these rocks are like people in the world. Everybody is unique and different, and to be celebrated that way. That's what that means to me. All these rocks. Look at this one. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? That's a beautiful red one with a marble white on it. Oh, look at this one. Look at that one. Oh my gosh. And you can find all kinds of agates too at times. Oh, look at this one. Oh, look at this agate. Look at this agate. And you can see it when you can look right through it when you hold it up to a light. And you can see right through it. And that's the coolest thing about life, isn't it? Sometimes you see things so clearly. And that's what I call, I'm beyond the veil of heaven and earth. I'm just all spiritual. When you can see right through it, know the heart of a person, know your own heart, and what your mission in life is. I just love that. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I can see right through it. So on my prayer shelf, Mike, I picked up certain rocks on the specific days that the books were published, and I wrote on top of the rock what day it was, like March 19th, 2023 was the Nun Better publication date, so I have that on a rock. I also have a piece of driftwood up there, which I used as my practice microphone when I started to do podcasts, you know? So that was really fun. Here comes another wave, Mike. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Woohoo! How good you are, God. How I love to sing your name. It is music full of harmony. It fills my heart with happiness to be with you. What a wonder, what a joy to be. You fill my life with love and joy. Oh, how I love to sing your name. How good you are, God. How good you are, God. How I love to sing your name. It is music full of harmony. Ah. I got it on that one! How fun! How fun! Oh well, I'm already wet now. Everybody, I want to thank everybody for ordering the Nun Better audiobook on Amazon Audible. I also want to continually thank all the people that are in my life. Today was Michael Hensley, Cherry Ann Salter, Michael Gorse, talking to Chaplain Rick on the phone, talking to David, talking to Doris, talking to many, many people. And it's just so thankful for everybody. I love you. And I'll send it later when I'm better in a Wi-Fi range. That's the way that goes. This isn't always the best, but it stays in my pocket. Okay, I left my stick here. Let me grab my stick. I like to walk with a stick. I don't know, it's like maybe I'm Moses, parting the Red Sea. I don't know, or maybe I'm Joseph with a staff back in Jesus and Mary's time, or maybe I'm just out here to do my exercises, you know? Either way, you can do a lot of things with a stick, and it's just, life is so beautiful. And wonder where this stick has come from. What tree went down a river and ended up on an ocean? How many people have stick homes? How many people don't have homes? And so, oh Jesus, I pray for those that are unhoused, and that our community can figure out what to do and how to help people. Hopefully, Jesus, you can give us all the answers we need and all the people with the resources, whether that's money, time, or energy. Jesus, keep helping us. Keep helping us every day. And there's lots of...
Joanie.
Thanks, Mike. Rule number 1, Joanie, don't put your back to the ocean. I messed up my own rule there, huh? In fact, the very first retreat on a beach I went with was with Carol. I was a novice, and they gave permission for us and for her to be my spiritual director on this 7-day retreat down in, oh boy, where was that? Like Manhattan Beach or something. And it was just wonderful having that time with her, and yet we put our prayer time to work. We didn't have to talk to each other all day long. You know, we had 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of silence where we read or we prayed or we walked or whatever we did alone. And then we got together and talk about that and talk about our Jesus and our God and our church and love and life. It was just absolutely beautiful. That's probably one of the things I want to do this year in 2025 is go on a beautiful retreat. Even though this feels like a retreat, but to have a spiritual director, somebody you can connect with to help with that. Some people call that therapists or counselors. I call them a spiritual director. So always improve yourself is the way I look at it, and I want to keep improving. I want to keep reading. I want to keep hanging out with a variety of people. Oh my gosh, I'm just mesmerized by the ocean.